Hello, dear star shines. Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. My name is Christina. I'm the acceleration expert, and I am here to help accelerate you beyond belief with your awareness. We are here to talk about everything that has to do with you and your personal multidimensional liberation and sovereignty. So the topics that we are here to talk about today are, oh boy, it's not going to let me see them. Hold on, I'm going to have to scroll and see if I can get to those topics here. All right, the topics for today are, we're going to talk about skull records and what does it mean to recode them. So actually I have an interesting relationship to share with the skulls that I haven't told many people. It feels like this is an appropriate time to start sharing, so I'm going to talk about that. Then the tale of two timelines. It is the best of times and it is the worst of times. I really hope I get going on that topic because I want to talk about that with you guys. There are many, many people out there who are, well, let's just say quite literally split. Yeah. And then the last topic, which is to some out there, to some people out there, ascension means that they are above or higher than other beings. Is this you? So I want to talk about that. I want to start a conversation off with your guys' feedback and input on how you receive a statement like that. Having being ascended means you're above something or everything. So welcome everybody. So good to be here. Thank you for coming on. I know I started a little bit late. I had some, I'm having some landing issues from my travels, so it just took me a little bit. I'm going to pause real quick and say hello to my dear star shines that are here. Hello, darling Carol and Hodai, darling. Hi, sis. How you doing? Nasika and Michelle and Lisa, darling star shine. So good to have you here. So let's dive into these topics. How do these things feel for you? Let me pose that question to you guys. The idea of ascension. Now, you guys know I don't use that word very often because that's not my preference to describe the process that humanity is in right now. But I would be curious to hear from you guys your perception of ascension. Does this mean you are above or higher than others? Now, others can be lots of things. And I'm just going to ask you guys to maybe list a few things of the others that maybe you consider ascension or a person who has ascended is higher than. I'll list a few of the obvious ones, and maybe you guys have some other things that that's in your awareness about this. Okay, so when I say, are you ascended? And if you are ascended, does this mean you're above others? Who might those others be? Okay, so one of the obvious ones I'm going to put are muggles. Would you agree that being ascended means you're higher or above muggles? All right, and I'm going to say the kingdoms, the different kingdoms of nature. So we have nature, the water kingdoms, the plant kingdoms, stuff like this. So I'll just summarize that up as kingdoms. Yeah. The dark stuff we'll just call entities in general, lost beings. Would you guys consider entities to be on that list? Okay. Who else might we put on that list of who we're higher than? Who, if you consider yourself ascended or your perception of what ascension is, does this mean possibly that you're higher than any of these things? Hello, darling Ray Ellen and Polly and Carol. Thank you so much for your response, dear sister Carol. She says, to me, it means awakened. Good point, girlfriend. Absolutely. I like that. And so hello, good day, Gary. Nice to have you here. So for those of you who maybe resonate or can understand, or you know what I mean, can match the reality of what I'm talking about right off the bat, the whole idea of ascending and being above perhaps doesn't resonate at all, right? but to some, it does. So I want to speak to the ones that are that some. Okay, so you guys help me. You guys help me out. What else do you perceive in there? because you guys know that I don't like that word ascension, right? I really feel like I call it rise of the multidimensional human. And there's a reason why I call it that and not ascension. And you guys that are in this group, you totally are vibing with that. But there's others that maybe aren't in this group or maybe going to watch this on YouTube that do resonate with this idea of ascension and being higher or greater than. Okay? So maybe in some old understandings, you guys had some pieces that you can relate to some of these pieces. All right, so entities is where I left off. We could put stuff like higher than, let's say, well, let's start getting into other beings. We'll start going into different ET entities, different soul groups, right? Maybe higher than God, goddess. Right? And we have to put archangels in there. Because even the very name archangels and angelics, that implies hierarchy, being better or being bigger or more than archangels. Who else might be on this list? Okay. But you guys get the point. You guys can see how people who resonate with the idea of ascension might resonate with the idea of being above or higher than anything like any of these kinds of beings. So I know I'm just diving in. I'm not activating the stuff yet. There's a reason why. Because this is a very human piece. Okay, this is something that has to do with a lot of beings in the New Age movement, in the healer movement, in the awakening movement. Okay. And and really the reason why I chose different terms to ascension is because on some level, and I'm going to say this out loud to people, on some level, I always felt like ascension is a lie. I know, shocker, right? I feel like there's a great big deception and lie within the whole narrative of ascension. Not that we're not going through something, because we absolutely are, but this whole narrative that was developed with the talk of 2012 and the photon band, and you know what I mean? It's like there was something that was always a little bit off for me in there. All right, dear sister Gabrielle says elementals. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that is a great one. Thank you so much for mentioning that one. That one is, yes, elementals. That's thank you. That opens up the doorway to something else. All right, dear sister Hodai says, to me, it means greater awareness of what's happening around and to us and the willingness to work through the changes or issues that come up. Not better than anyone or big or anything else. I feel it feeds the human ego. Yes, thank you. So this is getting to the point, and I'm going to come back to the elementals point thing too, because this is huge. So that's exactly right. If anything, so what it is, that old paradigm, right? That old paradigm that we were coming out of is God or the greatness or the divine or whatever is something outside of us. We need to acquiesce, subjugate, you know what I mean? We need to reach out, attend, treat, or connect with something that is external from us. That's the Piscean age. The Piscean age is that you need the authoritative permission, access to be granted, okay, to be handed the mantle, stuff like this. That was part of the awakening journey to your other levels of who you are. This is something that stems from the mystery schools, and this is something that was absolutely essential to be in place because certain things had to stay secret in order to be maintained and sustained during a fall of consciousness. But now we are going into a new earth, a new paradigm, a new age. And that means that the foundational rules that have been set by the age previous don't need to apply. They don't need to apply unless we want them to, okay? And when I say we want them to, I don't mean our ego minds, because people think that the humanness in people is going to destroy the whole transition process. And I'm going to ask people to hold off judgment on that. It doesn't necessarily it doesn't necessarily apply because this change is happening from the inside out. It's not something that the mind is creating. The mind is experiencing the change that is already happening. The mind is experiencing the unfoldment. It's not the word, that's the mind is not the one who has spoken that is creating the unfoldment. It is the witness, it's the watcher of the unfoldment. It's not it's not the actual momentum of the unfoldment itself. Okay, very important distinction. I think a lot of you guys are already tuned into this. Now, when it comes to the unfoldment, when it comes to creating life, when it comes to creating life on a planet, as the ancients speak about the creation of the Pachamama was birthed, was dreamed into being by these beings that connected with their true nature of the elements. They were not these high, I mean, it seems in frequency, it might seem like this if you're looking at it in terms of frequency, but the star elders pull forward the words been spoken, and with that connected with the elementals, and together they dreamt the earth into being. Together they dreamt it into being. It was not a command, elementals create this thing according to my vision. No, 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 no. It's that we are fully connected. I am you and you are me. And together we are unfolding the next step of consciousness. So even those elementals, right? Okay, they are an essential part of this. And there is, in this new frame up of how we're looking at things, there is no room for hierarchy. There is no above and below. It is all together in unity. So take this storyline into the humans that we're interacting right now, okay? We have to work with the humans that are in our world, okay? We have to work with the humans that are in our world. And right now, many of those humans are experiencing a bout of insanity. We all can agree on that, yes? Okay. So this perception that has been woven in to, because of, we saw what was coming in the old paradigm. We saw the new earth coming when we were in the old paradigm. The lenses were so thick to the rules of reality in that new paradigm. Those words, ascension, higher, above, all that stuff, all those words are indicative of the filter that we had back then when connecting with the energy of the new paradigm. Okay, does this make sense the way I'm saying that? Okay, please help me out please let me know if this is really hard to touch. Because remember, I talk about all of our perceptions, all of the data that's around us, our experience of the entire universe around us is brought to us through the filter of who we think we are, the filter of our experiences, the filter of our agreements and different constructs of the Akasha, the filter of our soul's journey, the filter of our personal journey, okay? All of these stories and definitions define and qualify the data streams that we get from the cosmos and beyond. So those that had vision and understood and knew that the new paradigm was coming was bringing forward to the best of their abilities what they were seeing to help mankind, okay, to help humans in their process of waking up. So those words are old paradigm understanding of something that is completely in a new different reality, okay? So this other reality doesn't have the same veils or filters that the new old paradigm has. It's completely different, as in there is no hierarchy. There is no bad, good, right, or wrong. There is no polarity/duality, okay? It is unity, but that level of depth of unity was not able to be fully, it was sensed and felt, but it was not able to be, described with total accuracy with those lenses of that old paradigm. So for those of you who are awoke to this, that's really great. Please talk to your other friends. Don't let your other dear friends, other dear beloveds keep running with the ascension narrative if there's a window in there for you to introduce a different idea, okay? Because these ideas Ideas are powerful. It might just seem like an idea, but an idea whose time has come, once it's spoken out loud and planted into someone's thoughts, it's going to grow into a massive garden and they are going to change. That idea has the power to shift that person. Doesn't matter how they received it. None of that matters. Is that once you are exposed to an idea, you can't unexpose yourself, right? Just like when, you wake up to something, you can't not be awoke to it anymore. It's there. No going back, right? That's the whole blue pill, red pill metaphor that we have. All right, dear sister Marie says, ascended, more aware of timelines, perhaps soul's journey awareness equals more of the picture. Yeah, so she's getting good. All right, so she's starting to go down that road of you're aware of more levels of our reality. That's how I would say that, right? You're aware of more contributing into this here and now experience than what was previously known. Yeah? Does this make sense how I'm saying that? I mean, that's how I'm hearing what you're saying, dear sister. So this is a really good piece to be aware of, is that we're constantly opening our eyes on bigger levels. And that process of opening our eyes on bigger levels is giving us a completely different levels of perception that feed into our here and now moment experience. So now when you experience somebody, say somebody's really difficult in your life, it's not just a story of what they did and how they are to blame or how you're to blame or whatever the story is. There's, rather than that human story having most of your awareness, you'll have the thoughts and feelings of the human story, but then you'll also see at the soul level the story. You'll actually see that is a wound that the person is experiencing, or is a wound that the person is facilitating for you, okay? And then you can see on a whole nother level on how they were acting out in the interest of their soul's purpose, right? In saying certain things. Maybe it was a truth that was really painful, or maybe it was a lie that was really painful. Either way, it doesn't matter. It was all something to facilitate you in the moment. And the more you open your eyes to these levels, the less threatened you are and the more sovereignty you have in the moment to hold space and be present with what's in front of you. Yeah? So it's no longer about the game, the face. It's now more layers of truth of why this moment is unfolding. And because of that new level of that liberated perception and more levels of sovereignty, you don't lose energy to it, okay? You see it in a different way, which means you can now be aware of different choices. And in those choices, anchoring your multidimensional awareness, through action, your multidimensional awareness gets more and more anchored into your everyday reality. Make sense what I'm saying here? Yeah, good. Now, it's not always possible to convey these thoughts to folks. We can here because, we're a very special group of starshines, yeah? We can say these kinds of things and it makes total sense, and I'm pretty much preaching to the choir. But the time is now where we need to, in the opportunities that we see that are before us, that we start planting these other seed ideas. Have these alternate conversations. All right, let me go ahead on to activating the 9 dimensions. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got it, okay. All righty, darlings, thank you. All right, so remember, if you're having any kind of perception of being higher or more than or whatever, that's an ego trip. That is an ego trip. When you are really looking through the lens of who you are as a galactic being, right? Your higher awareness or more your vaster awareness, if it's actually working towards your betterment, it is working at bringing you to be really present with what's in front of you, with your compassion for what's in front of you. So the more your awareness opens up and it creates, a place where you can accept people, beings, whatever, for how they are, then that is something that is empowering you. If it is something that's, the muggles. I use the term muggles too, just to describe the feeling, right? Because it's a feeling. I mean, if I were to have this conversation I don't, this conversation wouldn't even be possible anywhere if, in a store or over dinner. Well, maybe with certain friends over dinner, but you know what I mean? There's very, very, that expression is also a description of there's just some realities that people cannot be in touch with that you are in touch with. Okay. So I'm not saying using the word muggles is wrong. I'm just indicating that little, that sense of who we think we are is holding on, and it slips in these little pieces that gives us, that feeds our I am special program in comparison to others. But really, unity in its true form enhances people's connection, enhances people's abilities. It actually nurtures who they am so they can bloom in the unity versus, that hierarchy thing that a lot of us are still working at getting out of, And the hierarchy thing, it's everywhere, and it's there's no place that doesn't have it. So it's interesting to try to hold a new paradigm frequency and still navigate hierarchy in our world. All right, so let's come down here. This is the core of the earth. This is also the core fabric of your being, the Pachamama, Mother Earth. This is her heart, her mind. It is in the very core. This is the consciousness that is the being of the Pachamama, Universal Mother. Now, she is moving very quickly through space, and so is the sun, and so are the other planets. All of those planets, including the sun, are interconnected. So when you go into the core of the earth, when you come into the core of the Pachamama, within that core, you also have access the core of all of our planets, the core of the consciousness of Jupiter, the core consciousness of Mars, the core consciousness, of these different planetary beings in our solar ring. Then you also have access to the core of the sun, and the central sun of Alcyone, and all other suns and stars throughout the Milky Way galaxy. So this core baseline that is the baseline fabric of our being is highly, highly dynamic. Just because it's a 1D doesn't mean that it's super dense and that's it. No, this is a doorway that is aware of its connection throughout all reality. So it's really a doorway that takes us back to oneness consciousness. It takes us back to the great void of the Mother of God. So going in is very, very grounding and focusing of your energy. And it doesn't limit you, it actually liberates you. When you can easily shift your awareness to the fabric that is within your biosuit, that is the songs of the Pachamama. I call it the songs because they really do sound like songs. Drums, ancestors, bird songs, crickets, different insects, even tones that sound that equate to the sounds of the stars out in the cosmos in the Milky Way, or tones of the planet. All of those sounds are in the songs of the Mother, that is the baseline fabric for your biosuit. Then we have the telluric realm. This is also the elementals. So the telluric realm in its most simple form was what was worked with by, say, for lack of a better way of saying it, the star elders, the creator beings that seeded life on this planet, that seeded this planet and then seeded all the life on this planet. Okay. All right. Okay, there's a couple of comments here that I'm going to mention here. Rhonda says, muddles might be a better word. Yeah, muddles. That's a good one. All right, and then dear sister Hodai says, can it also be a lesson in true compassion and unconditional love? Absolutely, yes. I'm not sure which phrase that you're referring to with that, but lessons, okay, so lessons, that's also a word that needs a little bit of tweaking. It's very applicable when you're talking about the who you think you are and that part of you learning lessons, right? That's really applicable. But when it comes to these other levels of your being, the lessons, that definition expires. Let me finish going through the ladder, and I'll come back to that, and maybe you can tell me which phrase I said that sparked that comment, darling. All right, so the telluric realm, so these are crystal beings, these are devas, these are interdimensional cities of light that are in the earth. There's a big long list of what's going on in the telluric realm. So everything between the crust of the earth and the center core is considered the telluric realm. There's lots of realms within realms within realms. So there's stargates in the telluric realm. There's portals that go to other dimensions and realities in the telluric realm. The telluric realm, most of it is actually completely outside of space and time. So that so telluric realm, to resonate with a telluric being like a mountain or a stone person, you know, if you're able to resonate with this, you can actually slow yourself down so much you're stepping outside of time and experiencing unfoldment as a mountain being might experience unfoldment. You know, there's no, everything just ebbs and flows and changes, and there's this deep, deep witness and holder of all this. So there's that kind of thing. The telluric realm anchors things for our three to be projected into our 3D reality. And our 3D reality is space, right? You hold space. The telluric realm is holding space. And that's our 3D reality. Yeah? All right. And then you have time. Time, and you also have the collective field, collective conscious. And then you have, and this is everything that you think and feel, thoughts and emotions, but it's also energy exchanges, it's structures, it's corporate entities where they have a life but not really. They're given a life because we all agree about certain roles in the 4D. But quite literally, if you have enough people that reach critical mass and you cancel out those agreed upon structures, if you decide that they no longer have authority and it's in a big enough mass, then you can change reality by shifting thoughts and beliefs of this 4D field. An example I have of that is that you can actually completely change your experience with the element of fire, right? So we set something ablaze. Fire, when we just experience fire on the mundane level, it's hot, it burns things, right? Fire takes down our forests, kills our wildlife. Fire has this process of transforming, stuff like this. Now, if you get enough people together that agree that fire either is not consuming or fire is not hot, okay? If you can get enough people to agree on that, about this, you can actually experience fire in a way that is not hot anymore, okay? Or it will not burn. But you have to have a group of people together in agreement that that is the nature of fire. And then fire will actually change its nature according to how we believe it to be, okay? And the example I have of this is that, you know, for many, many years, we did fire ceremonies where it's called taming the flames is what they called it, where we would sing and play drums and connect with the fire and the star beings and earth and, you know, all of the reality around us. And we would tune our energies to be equal with the fire with gratitude. And in doing so, the fire would become friendly, as in it would not burn you. It would not burn hot. Okay, so you can put things in the fire. It would only burn what you ask it to. Okay, you can put your hands in the fire to pull things out or put things in, and it might feel hot, but it would not burn you. Things like that would happen. So this 4D field is a very powerful and potent level to be working at, and this is why a lot of New Agers have that language about ascending into 4D, okay? But what that means is that the who you think you are level is now more aware on deeper levels, right? Their awareness has awoke to other levels of what 5D is, okay? Doesn't mean that they're only going to exist in 5D. It means that they're awoke to the other levels of what 5D is and how it contributes into our 3D reality. Yeah? All right, then we have our 5D, our soul's journey. Our soul's journey is the story that is our soul. It's our Akasha records. It's you know, it's the idea that we have many incarnational experiences through many dimensions, realities, timelines, planets like this, and a record is kept of that, and there's memories that are kept of those lifetimes. The 5D field is also the first step into infinity. This is in the heart space. When you're looking throughout the eyes of the heart, there truly is no time. There is just the energy. There's just the momentum of living, of life. Okay, the yes. That's the window. So a great example would be those connections that you have with people, that it's a heart connection. And maybe you go 20 years not seeing each other and you reconnect and you guys just pick up right where you left off without missing a beat and move on. That's a heart connection. That's a relationship that's in the heart. Okay. So the Akasha, the 5D field, is that first step into timelessness and in the beingness. Now, the distortions of the DNA in humanity cuts us off from seeing this clearly. So, but really, an awakened human in our fullest form, maybe what we'd call immortality, the first stage of immortality, is retaining the memories of your lifetimes, between lifetimes and in lifetimes. This is what the monks have done for many years in Tibet in the different lineages. They actually they find the reincarnated Rinpoche and remind them who they are. So in the reminding of them, they will start to remember their past, who they were in the past, right? So this is something that will come back to humans. This is that first step of immortality, and that relates to the skull records. So I'm going to come back to that and talk about that more. All right, and then we're going to go into the 6D, our light body. This is the light shape form that is a precursor to everything that's physical. Okay, everything that's physical has a light shape that is an organizing force to it, such as the platonic solids as theorized by Plato. He talked about the atoms and molecules are organized in certain geometric shapes, and each of the base elements has a shape. Like water is the there's a word for this, and I'm totally going to make it wrong, but so like this kind of shape is the platonic solid for water. So that means you're going to have a molecule here, water molecule here, water molecule here, and water actually comes together in this kind of geometry. So this gets more and more complex. The more and complex, the more and more complex the element. So there's fire, earth, air, water, ether are those elements, and each one has a geometric form that is a light shape. This is theorized. So there is talk about straight lines have to do with control systems, but I'm gonna just plant that seed thought there, and just, you guys can come to your own place with that. All right, and then what predates the shape, what is also comes before the shape is the sound. And the sound is that 7D frequency. It's your soul song. It's the galactic highways of light. It is the same sounds that you hear when you go deep into the core of the earth and you're hearing the stars move, you're hearing the planets. That sound is the galactic highways of light. Okay, so the sound, we might perceive it as light or actually feel it, hear it as sound, but that is what is happening before it starts to coalesce and create a geometric form, a light form. Okay, so our light bodies, the actual blueprint of our physical form melded or married with the spirit, is all in our light body. The whole thing is mapped out in our light body. Even our timeline trajectories are mapped out in our light body. The kinds of lifetimes we're going to have, the kinds of planets that we incarnate on, the kinds of trials and tribulations we have within these experiences, all of that is found and mapped out within the light body. So the light body is interdimensional, hyperdimensional, and it doesn't end here. It doesn't end with just this physical form in this lifetime. It is something that it comes before the soul's journey. The light body is the map of everything you experience in the soul's journey like this. Okay, and then we have, before our soul song, we have the all that is, the interfolds of what we call God, the oneness consciousness. So the oneness consciousness we call God, many people do, but most of what people are calling God is a construct. It's a belief system. It's not actually the true being, because we exalt, in these teachings, we exalt God as something out here that we must appease. We must be good in order to be accepted and loved by, all that story. But really, the fabric of all that is unconditional. It doesn't matter how terrible of a person you are connected to that. You're never not with that oneness consciousness. It is a foundation fabric to all of reality. Okay, just like the songs of the mother are, the Pachamama. All right, and then we have 9D, which is the center of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Madre de Dios, the Mother of God. So from this place, from the void space, emerges the thought form, right? Emerges the original intention that is blended with the all that is. It's all one with everything. And from the all one with everything, we emerge out of that as a soul song, as a tone, okay? And that tone continues to coalesce and creates our light body. This is as we're traveling through the Milky Way galaxy. That light body creates the soul's journey in all its different experiences and forms. And then we have the time lines that we experience and perceive, okay? 4D's time. Time is very different here on this planet in comparison to other planets. And then those timelines, those ideas, those thoughts, those emotions give us perceptions of space, okay, organizing force to space that is built on the elementals, the reality that's brought forward by the elementals, how they dream with creation, okay, and that all comes from the core of the earth. She is an orchestrator. The Pachamama is an orchestrator. So all this works together. Another way you can look at this is that the igniting force are these odd numbers, the ignition force, like the intention, right? And then the organizing forces, as in the structures that create and coalesce, are all these even numbers. Okay, so you have will, and then you have structure. That's how these play out. All right, getting back to, so then let's continue on to the next model, which is that 4D field. Yeah, you guys can see that. Good. The 4D field, how fun this is, right? This is something that we cannot avoid. And the more we understand how we create alchemy in the 4D field, the more empowered we are as a human. Now, I talk about the 4 initiations necessary to being an empowered human right now on this planet, in this paradigm. And those initiations are dealing with your relationship with sex, your sexual energy. A lot of people manipulate, a lot of people control, a lot of people shut down. You know, there's all these dynamics going on in relationship to our sexual energy. So that has to get handled, where you can be in relationship with sex without losing your energy to it and without being taken over by it. And then the next initiation is money. Your relationship to money is very, very important to your empowerment in the 4D field, just because that's how this world is set up right now. It's going to change. It's inevitable that it changes, but right now, in the here and now, it's something that you need to work out, to have empowerment in this field. Okay, and then the initiation after that is how you deal with power. Now, power is what creates our shadow, right? So people who fear their power have a lot of shadow. The more you give your power away, the more shadow you have that you're not acknowledging, okay? So being in right relationship with power is very important. Walking in sovereignty in this axis exponentially makes you face your issues with power. Most people, when I do this, it's like their belief systems get triggered and they can't pay attention anymore. Okay, that's their disempowerment programs. But once you awake to this and you realize all this is happening inside your physical body and informing, they're all creating creative forces to your here and now moment, boom, you just grew exponentially in your sense of power and who you are as a multidimensional being. Then the step after that is, of course, getting your sovereignty on all those levels. Living with sovereignty, figuring out what it is to live on those levels. So your relationship to power is really, really important. And the other thing, the fourth one, initiation, is your relationship to fame. How do you use your influence? Now, I know many people who are highly respected, but use their influence to bash on other people, or use their influence to manipulate people's opinions. And this is what we're seeing going on in the political ring and the mainstream media ring. None of them are using their influence for truth and empowerment for the people. We all feel it, and of course we all take the sides that we take in what camps we believe about that, right? So this is a really big piece that all humans have to figure out in order to get their empowerment on this powerful organizing force to our reality. Okay. All right, dear sisters, let's see where we are. Hello, darling Isabella, good to see you. Okay, and then Gabriella says, let me scroll up. I missed one. I missed a couple. Here we go. All right, Tara says, I've learned there really aren't lessons, just our resonance. What is your insight on this? Yeah. So, right. So on an ego level, on the who you think you are level, this is the part that's learning lessons. That's the part that is figuring out through experience its perception. Okay. So in this way, there are lessons, lesson learned. Now I know not to do that, right? And who is the I that knows now not to do that? It's the face of who you think you are. On a soul level, the lessons are over. There are no lessons. On a soul level, you are having a profound experience of being in a body, occupying a space where a massive transition is about to happen. Okay, so the lessons, they're not lessons. It's more about the unfoldment of the experience. Why you might call something a lesson is when your soul level, the all that is of who you are level, is experiencing something for the first time. Okay, and actually we don't call that a lesson, we call that an initiation. Okay, so right, lesson learned is that 4D ego mind, who you think you are. But on all these other levels, there's no more lessons. There's the lesson thing isn't actually what's going on. It's something that we misinterpret, right? So, dear sister, thank you for that. And then Gabriella said, oops. Oh yeah, then Gabriella says, aren't we all just on a journey towards unity of all dimensions and creatures? Yes, unity. So, all right, so here's the thing. We are all one already. We're all one already. Is that the predominant flavor of our experience? No. Why is that not the predominant flavor of our experience? Because of all these other nesting dolls that are going into creating our here and now moment. Okay? So this 4D field is creating, has contribution into our here and now moment. But notice there's all these other parts that are very powerful organizing forces that are not connected into this. You know what I mean? It's not navigated at this place. So the unity, what's happening is that how all these nesting dolls work together, that is what's becoming unified. Okay? That is what is becoming a oneness in unification. So that 4D thing that I'm talking about is now in our human experience, we are now going to have that oneness, unified a reality as part of our experience, when before it wasn't. It was just something up here. But now this is going to be part of the DNA dance of the human. And that's what this is all about. It's about DNA, guys. It's about a biosuit that is hyperdimensional and beings coming and having sovereignty at this level. When we have a whole collective of humans that are awoke and sovereign, we are the ones who are deciding what kind of trajectory our planet is on. We are the ones who are deciding where our sun is traveling through the Milky Way galaxy. In fact, we are the ones who are deciding where the Milky Way galaxy goes in the cosmos, okay? Because all of it is a part of who we are, and we are navigating energetically these different components so we can experience them in space and time, okay? Because it's all about experiences. We are hungry for endless, and on an energetic soul level and beyond, we are hungry for endless movement. The idea is infinite movement, no end, no beginning. And in order for us to, in this kind of reality, nesting doll situation, it's time for us to have a new experience, a new thought. You see what I'm saying? We're having a new opening, so it opens the door to a whole nother kind of experience. And that's the times that we're in right now, going into the new paradigm where we are shedding everything that was already done and going into the new, which is the unknown, which is the mystery in a biosuit, because we can have the mystery all we want up here, no big deal. The gold is having the mystery, experiencing the mystery right here in a biosuit. You know, that means our DNA dance needs to accommodate that level of consciousness, and that's what's happening. That's what we're looking at right now. So the unity piece is that in order to dream and create with others, you must first be present with them, honor them, see them, okay? Not project onto them, actually see them and experience them. And once you're in that, then you guys, through your will decide to, if you're going to weave realities together. That's unity. That's creating within unity. Creating within hierarchy is one gives the command and the command ripple effects. Okay. All right, dear sister. Thank you for that. Okay, awesome. Thank you, darlings. Okay, dear brother Benjamin says, love without regret, love without judgment. Yes, very nice, very nice. Love, love, love. Love like it's your last moment being alive. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh my gosh, time is flying by. Holy crap. All right, let me get to the skull records. I really want to talk about that with you guys. So I've had some experiences over the past couple weeks, and it has clicked into, and it has snapped into view a journey that I've been on for quite some time. And it started in 2006. In 2006, I'm sorry, not 2006, it was 2007. Well, all right, so I had a major experience in 2006, but the following summer in 2007, I was called to do work in Holland, in the Netherlands, and the call came through a friend, and we worked together to do this. And pretty much what was happening was that there was a stargate that was opening, and the stargate that was opening was it was actually opening during June, and there was something about this stargate. It was a Sirius stargate, and Sirius as in the star Sirius. And there was encodements coming through, but there was also much more than what I could have possibly comprehended, or anybody who was involved in that work. And there were a lot of people involved in that work. I traveled across the country clearing out things and realigning grid stuff, and even got kind of tricked into going into a couple of the gas chambers in Amsterdam. So stuff like that. So a lot of cleaning up of wounding and all that. So the energy, so the vessel will be clear for the Stargate energy to come through. Now at this time, I didn't know anything about skulls. I knew they existed. They were off in my periphery somewhere, and I didn't have any understanding of them. I just kind of they just started to show up. Some skull keepers started to show up. And then I heard word of an ancient skulls keeper that was planning on showing up. And I even then I didn't understand what that meant. But way later, now I do. I have a much deeper appreciation, understanding what was going on. So a lot happened during that trip, and it all culminated with the Star Cirrus ceremony. And when I arrived for that and gave my talk, and we prepared for the ceremony, one of the ancient skull keepers arrived, and as well as other skull keepers. So there's different kinds of skulls, and some skulls are in physical form. Some skulls stay in the etheric form or stay in an energetic form. Some people are skull keepers, but they're keepers of it in their essence. Okay, some people have those skulls that stay alive within their essence and don't actually come into physical form. But there are 13, as legend says, there are 13 skulls that came into physical form. And that is where you get the original 13 ancient crystal skulls. It is said they were made in Atlantis, but I have a feeling my senses are much older than that, okay? And that they came in increments to this planet, to consciousness. So I don't know the name of the skull keeper or the skull that came. I just know that he was Dutch, and so there were the skulls, and they were telling me, they were offering to me, like, please tell them how they should be arranged for the ceremony. And so my mind, my head had nothing to do with it. They all were called by spirit to be there. So I arranged the skulls the way it felt like it was right. and the ceremony commenced, and the Stargate opened, and we prepared people, and all the energies came through. And at the time, we were in a really swampy spot of land. Now, if you guys know about water, water holds records, and then water seeps in and then goes into the aquifers. So it's a great way to inform the telluric realm with new encodements. This is one of the many reasons why all those crop circles show up in the UK in the farmland, because there's massive aquifers under this farmland, not to mention tunnels and other stuff. So so all those encodements from the crop circles are going not only into the crops but into the waters, and that reinforms people on a massive scale. So it was a similar kind of idea for the Star Cirrus ceremony when it happened. And afterwards, when they were collecting the skulls, one of the skull keepers commented to me that that particular formation that they were in is one of the most powerful formations that they can be put into. And I had no idea, but that seemed to mean a lot to them at the time. I didn't pay much mind to that because, well, my mind, I didn't understand any of it. I was just going with the flow of that. So the Stargate opened, the waters were getting reinformed, and those skulls projected the frequencies out through the collective, but also through the morphogenic fields. The morphogenic fields are up here in the light body form. So the information, the re-encodement that was happening that day was happening on a light body level, and then going through the rest of the planet and the telluric realms and stuff like this. And a lot happened, a lot of transformation. I was never the same after that trip. Neither was my friend. And I mean, everybody was with me. We were never the same after that trip. We were very significantly shifted. And of course, it took a few years for things to unfold. So continue on again. I'm fast forward to 2013, 2014, that time frame. I come across skulls again, but this time I'm coming across skulls that were inside of people. And these skulls were records of entire races of beings. So there's something called a Sasquatch skull. And the Sasquatch skull is the keeper of all the records of the history from the inception of Sasquatch. So this means their home planet, and then all the other planets that they moved to and existed upon. And then there's also an insectoid skull, which holds the records of all the insectoid consciousness that's ever unfolded from the beginning of time, from the beginning of the first universe. Okay, so these skulls are really potent information keepers, and they are beyond the Akasha in the sense that there is no particular soul's journey. It's all about a record of life. And with these original 13 ancient skulls, what I want to touch on with that is that they're all connected. They are all connected and unified. One is not more important than the other. They all work together in unity to birth something forward. And what I learned recently about the skulls is that they were a precursor to the human form. So they held the morphic field before the human DNA became realized. When I say realized, I mean emerged out of the great dream. Okay, so I've actually now in my life had very close contact with 3 of the ancient skulls. Okay, there was the one in Holland, right? There was one called Compassion that I connected with very strongly energetically 3 years ago upon leaving the Sasquatch conference. And this year at the Sasquatch conference, I talked about that. I talked about the awakening of the ant people and the collapsing of the underworlds. This is all done from the ancient elders, the ancient ones, transferred compassion from this unified field into the ant consciousness, into the ant skull first, and then into the consciousness of the ant, and it trickled into the underworlds. And then that's where a lot of light workers also started. Not long after that, light workers were giving testimony, let's say, to a lot of things in the underworlds collapsing. So that was a pivotal moment right there that I witnessed with that skull called Compassion that I recently was made aware of on this trip to Shasta. And then there's the third skull, which is the skull of love that was at the Sasquatch conference. So when I posted that post and I talked about the skulls getting recoded, What I'm talking about is this unified universe. We were in a universe of all right, we're in a universe of old reality, right? This is how we took that reality as far as we can, and now a whole new universe is birthed. And this universe is not in polarity, it is a unified field. It's not a polarized field. So everything within the field is aware of its connected and in oneness. Okay. So when one skull gets connected into the oneness, all the skulls get reinformed and re-encoded. And it's not a mind thing. It's not a who you think you are thing that makes this happen. Just like with those skull keepers that came to that Star Series ceremony, it's spirit that brought them to. It was spirit that orchestrated the moment for the re-encodement to happen. So all three of those skulls came together in a very brief moment, and I watched them get encoded with the unity reality, which is a precursor to the unfoldment here. So these records are more than just records. They're actually organizing forces to our reality. So I feel like what we witnessed was another threshold that got crossed, right, in the birthing of the unity consciousness for humanity on this planet in bodies. Okay, hopefully, all right. So, but there's many, but when those of you who are skull keepers and you know who you are, you understand that these skulls have a mind of their own. You just happen to be along for the ride. So when I watch the ant skull or the insectoid skull get completely recalibrated and that compassion come into the ant people, that was something that I just got to be witness to. Me, who I think I am, did nothing other than hold the space to witness this. Okay, this is the big piece we need to understand, because this is how our changing times are unfolding. And this is where I get to a tale of two timelines. So I had several people share Miss Ladd's video with me about the two timelines and wanted me to chime in on this. And so with all this said, okay, who we think we are and our belief systems and the structures that be on this planet are like a flea to the cosmos. It's this tiny little in the cosmos, in the cosmic scope of things. The shift that we're experiencing is on a cosmic level. Let's call it a cosmic shiver, and it's happening from the inside out. Okay, so the belief systems, the politics, the geopolitical reality, the whole soul limitation, karma reality, all these ideas are minuscule compared to the force that is having its shiver. The shiver is happening. It is absolute. Absolutely no one is being left behind. So even the most asleep muggle you can imagine is here to experience this shift. Okay, so there's nothing's going to split. Reason why that other timeline looks like it's there is because the structures, the 4D structures, the overlying structures on the actual organic life force of time, those structures are still there. That's why it looks like there's another timeline. But if you go past that, if you go past those structures and you start looking at it from this point of view, or this point of view, or this point of view, or even this point of view, if you start looking at those timelines and these point of views, they disappear. There's only one. There's only unity. There is nothing else. So how it looks like in the 3D and human consciousness without causing a psychotic break, who the hell knows what's going to happen? And that's part of what's so freaking exciting. How is this going to happen without humanity going mad? Okay, so in my personal perception, I feel like this is happening in waves. And that's why we're having large waves of people leaving this reality right now, is because the biosuit that they're imbuing, isn't capable of having, isn't capable of the upgrades. the upgradings that's happening with our awareness. Okay, it's not capable of handling the upgrades, so they're going to check out. So that whole narrative that dear brother Dr. Bush talks about, the coronavirus being an upgrade for nature, for the natural world, I resonate with that. So when you come in contact with this virus, and it is a virus, guys. It's not a total hoax. Now there's a lot of BS put on top of that. There's a lot of opportunistic control systems put on top of that. That's all the bullshit, right? But the actual virus itself and experiencing it, it's a real thing. So you need to look at how you can adapt, right? This virus is here to help your system adapt to what the new natural order is, okay? The natural order, Mother Nature. So those of us who embrace Mother Nature, embrace that, strengthening our biosuits, embrace holistic ideas and philosophies, we're not afraid. We are, we feel like we have prepared all that we can, and we're just going to go out into the world. Those that prescribe to the different lies in the 4D field, like what allopathic medicine promotes, like you need to have a flu shot every year, you need to have this every year, you need all this intervention for your health, they are the ones that are going to suffer, because this is the structure that's dying. So if they're getting infected with an upgrade, but yet they're who they think they are will not allow them to do what they need to do to process the upgrade, you're going to get sick. Some get sick and die, okay? This is just one of many waves, in my perspective, of what's happening, okay? This is just one of many waves that's coming through humanity right now. So your ability to adapt has a lot to do with how the quality of your life is going to be, okay? Your ability to hold sovereignty on all these levels is going to have a huge impact on how you experience life to be. But do know, you can't mess it up. The who you think you are cannot fuck it up, okay? That is an old program from the old paradigm. That old paradigm story that says that you're a sinner, that you are against nature, that Pachamama is the enemy. You see what I mean? That you've been kicked out of the garden. You've been cursed to only reap thistles and thorns from the earth. This is a disempowerment program, and that's getting worked out right now within us all. The fact is that we belong here. Many of us remember our yes for being here on this planet. Many of us, with all of our being, know that we have a purpose in this world, okay? Know that you came here for a purpose. The more we go and align our who we think we are reality, that 4D frequency, with our purpose, right? With our purpose, the more passionate we're going to be every day when we wake up in the morning for our lives. The more oomph, the more power, more wind beneath our wings we're going to have. Okay? So I've talked to many people over the past few years who feel like, they've passed their 4 initiations and the 4 pieces that you need to have empowerment for in the 4D field. They've done that, and now what? And their guidance is put one foot in front of the other and take care of your health. Make sure you have a strong and healthy immune system. Okay, that's what their guidance has been telling them. I think many of you have echoed this as well to me, right? Don't ignore that. There's a reason why that's happening. Our biosuits are going to get challenged because there's great change that's happening. And the more adaptable we allow ourselves to be, the more we're going to be able to thrive in our purpose. So that's why I brought that Chi machine as a gift to whoever wanted to try it at the conference, at the Sasquatch conference, but also the Sasquatch family reunion, but also in Shasta for the Venus conference, because on a telluric level, it's very simple how to keep your body strong and vibrant, okay? And this is the Sasquatch back this up with the information that they give people, they've given me and given others. Oxygen is the key. The more you oxygenate your body, the stronger, more vibrant it becomes. Why? Because oxygen feeds the powerhouse of every cell in your body, which is called mitochondria. Mitochondria is what needs the oxygen to make energy. We have trillions and trillions of cells in our body. Every single cell has mitochondria. Every single cell needs oxygen to be strong and to thrive. So the more oxygen that you bring into your body and absorb and get into your cells, the more energy your cells have, the stronger you become. There are many, many masters on this planet who have stressed this idea. Starting from when I was a teenager, Gurudev, Yogi Amrita Desai, he said the key to enlightenment is not yoga, it's breathing. That's what he said. I heard that when I was like 18 years old, right? Then you have the different Taoist masters that talk about energy is everything, and breathing is the gateway to that. Then you have people like our dear brother Wim Hof, the Dutch guy that has the breathing and hot cold therapy. His whole deal, he's showing the world what you can do when you enhance the oxygen in your body. He's called the Iron Man. Why? Because he can wait in ice cold water for hours. He can swim through frozen waters in trunks, in swimming trunks, and come out the other side and not be affected by hypothermia. It's all because of him strengthening his system with oxygen and practicing with the hot cold. Okay, there's many other beings that have stressed this about oxygen. So my thought line with going out into the public in a much bigger way than I have since this whole pandemic began was to what can I offer humanity that will further make them strong. And so what it was the Chi machine. And this machine was designed by a mad scientist named Dr. Inuo. And I introduced people to how it works and all the benefits of oxygen in the body and so on and so forth. So being healthy can be as simple as managing your oxygen intake and making your body strong like that. There's other ways as well, right? There's yoga, there's meditation, there's all those spiritual practices that we know are effective. Keeping the body strong, as in don't sit and hibernate, throughout the seasons. Expose your body to adversity. Really, we haven't been taught how to properly manage these biosuits. And now the time that we have to go through all these upgrades, this is where we're going to this is where we're learning through trial by fire on how to manage our biosuits. So proper nutrition is a level that we need to pay attention to. The kinds of emotional and mental nourishment we put into our experience, we need to pay attention to. So if you can, unplug, get the hell off Facebook. I know we're on Facebook, right? But really, if you can, get the hell off Facebook. I was off Facebook more than I have been in the past 2 weeks. I can't tell you how much peace, so much peace is in my life because I'm not exposed to the narratives on this platform. Okay, so what you feed your mind with, what you feed yourself emotionally has an impact on your wellness and in your vibrancy in your physical body. It has an impact. Okay, and there's more and more layers. I'm not the expert on all these layers. This is just a few pieces. And with that, I want to leave you guys with a quote. And the quote is from Charles Dickens. One of my most favorite stories that he's ever written. I mean, he's written a lot of great stories, but one of my favorite stories he's ever written is The Tale of Two Cities. And the reason why I want to share this quote with you guys is so you guys can understand that we are in a human experience. And with the human experience, there are certain things that never change. Okay, well, everything changes, but there's certain things that are constant. That's a better way to say it. There are certain things that are constant within our human experience. And I feel like change, how we experience change, is a pretty consistent thing for humans across the board. Okay, some people are more free spirits than others, but when you are experiencing change that challenges the very core of who you think you are, we all visit the same places. Okay, so what I want to do is share this quote. All right, there's a couple questions coming in, so I'm going to look at that and then share this quote. All right, Pamela says, I shared your group Your love, love your info, seeing, yeah, okay. I'm going to put this on YouTube when I download it. So just so you guys know. And yes, Isabella, I am going to be getting off Facebook, or at least touching base with it minimally. But that's a process because I need to get comfortable with other platforms. And this one, I really like you guys. I really love this group. You guys are great. So I'm figuring out how to manage that. Okay, let me go on to this quote. And you guys, this is a quote from a story that took place during the French Revolution. This story is an amazing story, but it's also an extremely tragic one. And that's one of the reasons why I love it so much, because though amazing things happen, it doesn't come without its pain and despair. Okay? And this is what it says. This is the very first line in the book, Tale of Two Cities. Says, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It is the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope and the winter of despair. I think we can all relate that sentiment to these times now. Yeah? All right, darlings, that is it for me today. Yay, I got to talk about all my topics in my time in my time frame. Woohoo! I love you all. Thank you so much for being here and sharing the space with me. I'm so glad and grateful that we are able to have these conversations on the level that we have them. And I am deeply honored to share this with you guys. Yeah. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their week. I'll see you guys next Thursday. Until then, love you guys.